Hi, and welcome to Editing in a Flash. Allie Cross. I'm the author of over 15 books, 8 of which I've self-published. I'm a true believer in hiring an excellent support and production team, including a professional editor. However, you'll get the most bang for your buck if you send your editor your best work. That's when the real magic happens. But it can be a daunting task. We want to do it just right, but it can seem so overwhelming to think of going through your giant manuscript for who knows how many times before you feel like it's edited properly. And who knows if you even know how to edit. But see, that's the trick. You are not expected to be a perfect editor. That's why you have a professional editor go through things in the end. But editing can actually be kind of fun. Yes, fun. And even imperfect, it's still worth doing. So let's make it bite-sized in order to see how you can do hard things, even editing. Before we go any further, I want you to pause this video and write a bit of flash fiction. That's a full story in 250 words or less. Writing flash fiction teaches you how to strengthen your prose, tighten your writing, and get your point across in fewer words than you thought possible. It's a great writing exercise, but it's also awesome for learning your own editing style and helping you grow confident in your abilities so you can tackle that big old project of yours. You can use any topic you like for your flash fiction, but here's a couple images to act as prompts for you just in case you need them. Do not edit your piece. Just quickly write what comes to mind, then return to the presentation. I'll be waiting for you. All right, now that you've got your short fiction written, we can get to work. When editing, remember this pyramid. First, you've got the overall gist of the story in the broad pass. Next, we'll go a little deeper and look at sentence structure, then word choice, and then everybody's favorite, we'll look at all the nitty-gritty, including grammar. Yay! I recommend you learn about each pass, then pause the video and work on your own flash fiction. Once you've completed that pass, resume the video and move on to the next pass, and so on. So here we go. Remember, you can do this. Our broad pass. This is a broad sweep. Fix whatever you see that sticks out. Read the entire piece in as few sittings as possible. The reason why you want to do this is so that you can catch continuity errors, or errors in character development or character behavior. Perhaps there's a section in which your character is behaving out of character in a way that's not normal for them or wouldn't be how they would behave. Of course, you're not going to see a lot of that in a short fiction piece, but this is a skill you'll want to learn and practice for when you work on your full-length novel. Don't overthink your fixes. If it stands out to you, fix it or nix it. If it's something that requires more attention, highlight it and move on, unless you're feeling inspired and know how to fix it right then. Otherwise, I suggest you just kind of tuck it into the back of your mind and you can fix it later once you're done this quick editing pass. Okay, next. Excuse me, for right now, I want you to pause the video, go through and do a broad sweep of your short fiction, and then return. Okay, in this pass, we're going to look at sentence structure. Don't be afraid, this really isn't that hard. We are going to look at some fancy grammarish terms, but hopefully by tackling them in a bit of flash fiction, you'll kind of learn that they're not as scary as you think they are, and you'll have an idea of how to tackle them when you face them in your full-length piece. Parallelism. Dun, dun, dun. Doesn't that just sound like something sci-fi-ish? Yeah, like a parallel universe or something. That's what I think of. Two Types of parallelism: structure errors and incorrect prepositions. Structure errors happen when two or more parts of a sentence are not doing the same thing. For example, Allie likes to write, crochet, and singing. You can see what's wrong with that, can't you? See, it's not that hard. The correct way to write that sentence, obviously, is Allie likes to write, crochet, and sing. Or Allie likes writing, crocheting, and singing. So, if you've got any great crochet patterns or sheet music you want to share, feel free to PM me. Check for misplaced modifiers. I see this one a lot. If you look up examples online, you'll see a lot of crazy ones, but it's the sneaky ones that we sometimes write when we're drafting, because in our head, we know what we're saying, but our fingers just don't quite get the words down right. A modifier is a word or words that modifies the subject or verb in a sentence. They can become misplaced when they aren't attached to the subject or verb. For example, Allie taught the class in pajamas. Well, maybe you're in pajamas, but the class is definitely not in pajamas. It's Allie who's in pajamas, not necessarily the students in the class. So the correct sentence would read something like, Allie wore pajamas while she taught the class. There are a couple ways you could rewrite this sentence, but as you can see, correcting misplaced modifiers will often require rewriting the sentence by adding or removing words for clarity. Here's another example. Oops, that wasn't supposed to go right. So there you go. Okay, on the wrong side, 3 homes were reported robbed by the Salt Lake police last week. Well, that kind of sounds like it's the police who robbed the homes, and it's pretty safe to say that that's not right. So over on the right side, you can see a version of that sentence. Salt Lake police reported 3 homes were robbed last week. So by rearranging that sentence and changing up the words just a little bit, we were able to bring clarity and correct that misplaced modifier. So now it's your turn. Pause the video and give it a go. Next up, we have word choice. I'm a bit of a fanatic about word choice, so you're probably going to feel like the video is a little lopsided on the word choice thing. Sorry, we all have our things, right? And for me, it's word choice. So here's where we're really going to reveal your own unique voice, which is probably a giant part of why I'm fanatical about word choice. So let's take a quick look at what I'm talking about, or not so quick. Okay, so with word choice, what you want to do is use words that are unique to your story. This can range from situational terms like scalpel, monitor, septosarcoma if you're writing a medical drama, to Lancer, Cybercop, and W if you're writing a sci-fi adventure. This will add richness and believability while helping to set the scene. What you don't want to do is take time to describe what the word means. Give your readers some credit. Allow them to learn the language of your story through immersion. They'll glean the meaning through the context of your narration. Explaining word choice, like stopping to say that septosarcoma is a type of cancer that appears in blah, blah, blah. I don't actually know. Sorry, I probably should have looked that up so that I could explain you. I do know what a W unit is, though. Because that's from one of my own sci-fi stories. But the thing is, I didn't stop and say, now, let me tell you, W is short form for, I can't even remember, it's been a long time since I wrote that book. But it was a wrist unit you wore that could act as a hologram and a communicator and all sorts of things. I didn't stop and explain that. I showed it throughout the story by showing the characters using it. That's what you also want to do. You can cut a lot of words that way, which is awesome, but also explaining your word choice slows the pacing and pulls the reader out of the story. And unless done extremely well, it can smack of something called author intrusion, which is when it literally sounds like the author has stepped in and said, "Now listen here, folks, this is what this term means." So you need to find ways to show, not tell, right? We all know that rule. But this is definitely where word choice can help you achieve that goal. We're going to take a look for any was-ing combinations or transitive verb combinations like will, bring, and replace them with strong active verbs. So let's talk for just a minute or two about the power of active verbs. They can be used to show emotion or tone and to show action. Let's look at an example from a book by Devin Monk, whom I love. This kind of goes to show that even professionally published, like traditionally published books who've been gone over by presumably the best in the business can still lack that extra something that excellent editing can bring to the table. So, in this example, Shame, that's a character's name, stood at the edge of the water, the gun in his hand. Okay, that's a perfectly fine sentence, nothing really wrong with it. But can we really picture the scene? Do we see enough of what's going on? Could this one sentence show us more? How is Shame standing at the water's edge? Is he relaxed? Or is he thinking of throwing the gun into the water? How is he holding the gun? Is it smoking, as in, did he just use it? Are his hands trembling? Is he holding it with a white-knuckled grip? All of these things could be packed into this one sentence. You might, as you're reading through, think this sentence is just fine, but imagine for a moment what more it could achieve. Say perhaps we change those words to Shame teetered at the edge of the water, the gun trembling in his hand. What images or feelings does this evoke? For me, it makes me feel like perhaps he just used it and he's run away and he's feeling my feeling since he's teetering and he's trembling, the gun is trembling, that he's shocked, that he's feeling remorse perhaps, or he just can't believe that this thing happened, and it really adds a lot more tension to the scene. Sorry. Okay, how about this one? Shame balanced at the edge of the water, the gun smoking in his hand. Say I don't feel like he has come to the edge of the water in a mad panic dash. I feel like he chose to be there. Maybe he's calculating whether he can throw the gun far enough into the water so as to keep it from being found anytime soon. By balancing, he's showing that he has some control, I think. And obviously, the gun is smoking in his hand, so it's just been used, right? We could go on and on, I think, for a long while, switching up words to discover all the different ways this one sentence could be said to say more. But hopefully you can see that by changing just these two words in this one sentence, we can say a lot about the emotion and tone of a scene. Here's another example from Devin Monk, and this one's going to show action. The bullet cut through Shame's chest and he fell to the sand. So that's pretty intense. But we could have it say so much more. How does he fall to the sand? And is cut enough of a, is that enough of a verb? Does it show the action? Do you feel it breaking through his chest? So let's look at how we can change that up. The bullet tore through Shame's chest and he collapsed to the sand. Now, this I can picture a lot more. Cut to me seemed very clean, which maybe it was, right? Like maybe that's exactly what Devin Monk wanted to show in that scene. The bullet just sliced through him like butter and he fell, and that's it. Or if the bullet tore through Shame's chest and he collapsed to the ground, you might envision it like ripping his chest apart and him collapsing, like it's just immediate and he falls in a heap. There's no grace or anything in that. You should be able to see how the second sample evokes movement, action, and complements emotion and tone. So now, as you return to editing your flash fiction, see if you can increase the emotion, tone, and action through the words you choose. And then come on back when you're done. All right, so now we're on to the little things. This is flash editing, so there isn't time for me to go into every little thing about grammar and all that jazz. Heck, I don't know everything, and few people do. And the ones that do are called professional editors, and that's why we make use of them after we've done the best we can do. But in this narrow pass, we're going to look at more than just grammar. Do your best with grammar. Add or remove commas as needed, add question marks as needed, remove excess exclamation points. Search for overused words like just, then, suddenly. Everyone has their own favorite words, so keep an eye out for yours. The more you practice writing, the more you'll come to know what your certain words are. Check your spelling, of course. Keep a list of your stylistic elements. What words do you capitalize? What nicknames or phrases are unique to your book or character? Check attribution tags. In most cases, a simple said or asked works far better than fancy alternatives. Save your awesome word choices for when it really matters. Last but not least, take the time to read your story out loud. Yes, you might feel silly at first, but I promise it's so worth it. Some people will have their computer read it to them, which might work for you if you have a program that'll do that. I, however, believe in reading it myself. I feel like as I read, I'm more likely to notice dropped words, awkward sentences, stilted dialogue, that kind of thing. When I have the computer read it to me, or even someone else, honestly, I'm more likely to let my mind wander a little bit here or there, which is not a good thing, but it does happen. I'm very distractible. But when I'm reading, I'm right there. I'm feeling it, I'm living it, and I'm hyper aware of every little error as it crosses my tongue. So you'll be able to make adjustments on the fly, and you'll really know you've done the best you can. So I highly, highly recommend that you take some time to read your work out loud. Remember, every time you edit a piece of fiction, you'll get better. Don't worry about being perfect now. Heck, don't worry about being perfect ever. Do your best, then hire an excellent support team, including a professional editor and proofreader. Lucky you if your publisher provides this for you. But if you're self-publishing or seeking representation, consider hiring professionals to really take your work to the next level. But before you do that, do your best to give them the cleanest, most awesome manuscript you can. And I truly recommend that you use flash fiction to practice both writing, because it helps you develop your own voice and personal writing style, but also editing, because each of us has our own editing style as well. And you'll come to know what works for you and what doesn't. I left a lot of stuff out of this presentation that other editors would promote. And I'm not discounting any of those, but this is my editing practice. So that is what I wanted to share with you. And like I said, we each have our own style. And I have a wonderful editor who also knows my style. So she knows what she needs to bring to the table, and an awesome proofreader who will know what she needs to look for, because these are the mistakes that Allie typically makes. Of course, I want to strive to improve and to not make those same mistakes time and again. But that's why practice makes awesome. You just want to keep going, and every book, every story, every little bit of flash fiction will get better, and your editing skills will improve right along with them. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed learning how to edit in a flash. Remember to practice your newfound skills as often as you can. It's a most excellent tool to improve every element of your prose. And if you're super brave, I'd love to see your edited flash fiction pieces you ended with. Just post them in the comments. I think it would be really fun to see how our pieces turned out. And I'd love to hear how you saw your piece evolve just by following these few passes. And if you want to contact me or follow me or reach out to me online, here's all my fancy places that you can reach out to me. And thanks again for joining us, and thanks to LDS beta readers for having this awesome conference. I hope you guys enjoy all of the classes and really come out of it feeling stronger and more capable in the work that you're doing. Happy writing, everyone!